Hi, everyone. I am so delighted to be with you today from West Orange, New Jersey. I am so grateful to announce that Grief and Rebirth podcast just reached an incredible milestone, 100,000 downloads. I'm sure you agree with me that this calls for celebration time. Creating and hosting Grief and Rebirth podcast has opened a blessed new chapter in my life and in the lives of each of you who are so devoted to listening to and watching my interviews with those extraordinary grief and trauma specialists, healers, mediums, gifted authors, and those wonderful, courageous contributors to our Grief and Rebirth series. Thank you from my heart, truly, for welcoming my interviews with these very special people into your lives so that they can help me support you on your healing journeys through grief. I have a special shout out today for author Melissa Lyons. I just helped her launch her incredibly wonderful new healing support group called the Healing Table. And I know it is going to transform many lives. So I encourage you to log on to my website, ireneweinberg.com, and click on to the Healing Table. I think you'll be glad you did, and I hope to see you there. I also want to acknowledge an incredible, extraordinary organization called Helping Parents Heal that helps parents whose children have transitioned to the other side. I have interviewed many wonderful people from Helping Parents Heal. One is more special than the next. And it has been such an honor to be involved with this, to be a part of this group in the way that I can. I'm just humbled and honored by it. And I have a special shout out for 3 incredible women with Helping Parents Heal. They are truly beautiful from the inside out. Thank you. Elizabeth Wasson, co-founder and president. Irene Vuvalides, international vice president, and Tracy Susi, who introduced me to Helping Parents Heal. I am so appreciative of your love, your friendship, and your support of Grief and Rebirth podcast, because I know that you deeply resonate with our mission, which is to present healing choices to people so that they can move through their grief, evolve, and find rebirth. Thank you from my heart to everyone at Helping Parents Heal, and a big loving virtual hug to each of you 3 ladies. I also want to acknowledge the many amazing mediums I've interviewed for the podcast, who have shared with you their experiences communicating loved ones on the other side with deceased loved ones, and the insights that they have gleaned, and so much more. And again, there are certain mediums I've interviewed who have become friends, both to me and to Grief and Rebirth podcast, because they completely resonate with the healing community that we are creating through Grief and Rebirth podcast. So here is a loving thank you to Suzanne Northrup, Pamela Osley, Kat Bailey, Suzanne Geisman, Isabella Johnson, Jake Samayedny, Lee Vinzel, Mark Anthony, Michelle Claire, and Marilyn Kapp. I think each of you is so amazing, and I am so appreciative for your love, your friendship, and for your support. And likewise, I have interviewed incredible healers who are able to help you with Your issues, be they mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical, they're just marvelous. And there again are certain healers who have fully embraced the mission of Grief and Rebirth podcast, encourage people to subscribe to the podcast, and so much more. So here are tremendously loving thanks to Seta Araj Shahinian, Amanda Lynn, Christy Peck, Karen Stein, Gail Glasner, and Dr. Donna Perillo. Thank you from my heart. I also have deep thanks for authors Casey Gaunt and Roseanne Gruber Norris for their love and support and friendship to me and the podcast, and to movie producer Dimitri Gelfand, again for his love, friendship, and support to me and the podcast. And of course, we all have marvelous, wonderful friends, and I am not an exception to that. I have incredible friends, but there are certain of my friends who have been with me on this journey from the beginning to now, even when I wrote my book, They Serve Bagels in Heaven, all the way through, and they have been so supportive, so loving, so encouraging of me, and partnering with me in friendship all the way through to this day with you and beyond. So with great love, I wish to give a virtual hug to Carolyn Pars, Melissa Fiore, Betty Gempel, Lenore Raven Coster, Carol Eisenbud, Roseanne Morendo, Laura Quinn, and Iris Mishula. You ladies rock, and you are always a part of my heart, and I thank you. By the way, if I have left anyone out of this love fest, I hope you will forgive me and understand that it was not meant, and that I appreciate you all. And by the way, this podcast would not be reaching any of you as beautifully as it is if it was not for the help of my fab publicist and techie guru, Stephanie Barnhart, and her amazing assistants, Rachel Salvato and Samantha Blair. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Job well done. Bravo. I also have two people to whom I'm eternally grateful who are on the other side. The first is my precious, wonderful soul, who is the inspiration for my book, They Serve Bagels in Heaven, and for this Grief and Rebirth podcast. And the second is my mom, Thelma Stein, also known as Temmie, who recently transitioned and was and still is my number one best fan. I absolutely know that Saul and Mom are still loving me, supporting me, and cheering me on now from the other side. And I am, as always, eternally grateful. So, in conclusion, thank you for joining me for this tremendous celebration, which is such a thrill and just so incredibly wonderful. Thank you all so very much for joining me with this. I promise you, many more incredible, extraordinary, insightful interviews that will bring pleasure and joy and enlightenment into your lives. I promise you, many more incredibly special events that will uplift you and inspire you and bring you joy. And I promise you other wonderful things that are also on tap. So what I would like to say is, as I like to say, to be continued. Many blessings to each of you. So much more to come, so stay tuned. And with much love, with much celebration, and with much love, and with much gratitude, Bye for now. To be continued.